Welcome to Beyond Vows and Veils, your luxury wedding experience. Our podcast, I feel, is a treasure trove of inspiration and insight for newly engaged couples. Join us as we have captivating stories, expert insight, and real wedding experiences that you can listen and learn from. Okay, all right, we're officially starting. All right, so I have Arina with Balerina Studios here joining me today, and I'm super pumped. She was so gracious and kind enough to offer some time for us to be able to talk all things photo video. And welcome, Arina. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm so
Absolutely.
excited.
You know, obviously for our listeners, one of the things that this podcast offers is both a platform for newly engaged couples to have more insight and information to make more informed decisions when it comes to hiring their team of professionals. And then the other layering of that, of course, is for aspiring hospitality professionals who want to know more and want to just kind of pick the brain of some of like the industry's elite and how they got their start and where they are. So, you know, I'm hoping that this particular episode can sort of offer a little bit of guidance and support for particularly newly engaged couples who are trying to make informed decisions for hiring, you know, photo video and sort of what that journey might look like for them. So, Arina, I understand that you started your business, or maybe you even started doing photo video before, so correct me if that's wrong, but in 2013 in Russia, and then you sort of pivoted, and now you're obviously everywhere in the US market and have certainly made a name for yourself. So, like, can you share a little bit about your personal journey and just kind of where you are right now in your industry and what have you?
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. We started 10 years ago. It's crazy. I always thought when I've been talking to other professionals, when you're going to be doing something for 10 years, you're kind of going to be so exhausted, but I'm not. And I'm happy about it. I feel like it's just the beginning because you finally have all the knowledges, all the experience, you know, a lot of things on all parts of the globe as for
Right.
now. And yeah, it's just amazing journey starting now. So I'm very serious about 10 years period. But yeah, it all started in Russia, in a very small city. I've been only one female videographer at that time. And obviously there is zero um, courses, zero knowledges, nothing where you can learn from.
Right.
And people are also like very close. Steve, there is zero podcasts and stuff like that. There is not a TikTok, Instagram era with all the learnings. Um, so basically, yeah, I've been learning everything myself, just picking here and there, some random information. And I'm a doer, not, I mean, a thinker too, but obviously I'm a very active person. I've been a dancer at that time. So I basically needed just videos for me to promote. I always dreamed to be a famous choreographer at that time. So yeah, and I needed videos and photos and all the type of content, but I found everybody doing a very bad content, and I was like, okay, let me try myself. I don't trust anybody, and yeah, so basically things just aligned. I got a camera for my only money I had. I had a lot of photographers around me who know things, and I was like, hey, what I should get? And they were like, yeah, you should get two lenses, one wide lens and one close up. And I ended up didn't had enough money for to buy a lens. I bought a camera, Canon 550D probably, and I exchanged my bicycle to a fisheye lens from a person who does not use it at all. And I got 50 millimeter lens, like a portrait. And I ended up went to Sicily to travel for 3 months. It's like a program for younger people who can go and learn something new. So I found these photo courses which I had zero knowledges from there because the course is on English and I didn't talk in English at that time. I had like maybe hi, bye, hello, how are you? And it's, I mean, very pointless for me, but I just wanted to be there. And I remember that exact moment when I press record with my camera. And it was also my one of the first traveling abroad, and I was so impressed by the process and the magic of the videos. I can't describe this feeling. I literally remember this exact moment when I was like, okay, what I'm gonna do? And I started to film my own videos for dancing and the streets and like some street style videos. And fun fact that I got a bunch of footage at that time, and it hasn't been edited for maybe 8 months because I didn't know how to edit. I've been learning on the go, like
Wow.
literally. Yeah, and I still have this video of Sicily, like travel video of the whole trip of mine in YouTube channel. And like, it's so funny because 10 years ago, people been commenting this, oh my God, nobody shot Sicily like this. Thank you so much, and stuff like that. So yeah, I think was the beginning. And I had a friend back in Russia, my small city in South, who had a bunch of cameras and everything. And I was like, hey, maybe you want to do company and we'll start maybe shoot something for people. She was like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And she was my friend, like best friend. So it was very easy. We were just hanging and shooting some stuff for our friends. Yeah, and she shot like a dance video, like upscaled with a storyline and like, directing. And we were like basically learning everything like four hands at the laptop, like
Right.
editing everything. And fun fact, actually, so we created a company. It's called Curry Films, like a curry, like a spice. And because my name is Arina and her name is Kate, so
Oh,
Curry. It's like
cute.
both our names.
Yeah.
We just connected it. And yeah, our logo was like a little curry, like spice on the side.
That is so
And
wild.
can you imagine?
And you manifested it and
Now
you didn't
I'm
even
shooting
know.
Indian weddings.
You manifested
I
that into
know,
your
it's
life.
insane.
That's so wild because honestly, like I was reading your interview in Voyage LA and I found out for the first time, I actually had no idea that, I mean, our whole office has always said, Arina's such a cool girl. We love working with Arina because you just have such a really cool vibe when you're on site for an event. You don't think, oh, that's cool. You don't think take things too like,
I
what
didn't
is
know.
that? Is that like a heart? JR, does it do like a
I
heart
don't
thing? That's
know.
kind of full. Whatever. Anyway, so I just think it's so cool because when we've been on site with you, like I definitely feel like you bring that sort of just relaxed feel to your events and working with your couples. Because obviously, when you're working with a couple, and one thing I think it's important to mention is when you're working with someone that is a true artist and understands like body movement like you do, especially through dancing, you know how to pose, I feel like, without posing. So like maybe what are your tips or
Yeah.
what are some insider information that you can maybe share with couples who, if you're hiring a photographer, I think sometimes people are literally not photographed outside of getting a headshot for their business. And so
Yeah.
how do you then go on to a multi-day cultural event where you're basically being photoed and videoed for like 12 hours a day and still pull from them so that they're posed properly, or that you're getting like an aesthetic that you think at the end of the day they're going to be really happy with when they get that final product?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the compliments. It's very mutual feelings. I feel like you guys bring all the vibes from your personalities too, and it's really feel like a best festival in my life. Yeah. So for the posing, so I mean, I don't know how it's with other companies, but with us, it's pretty easy, as you can tell by looking at the videos and photos, because we are a bigger team now, right? we
Right.
like we grew drastically. So first of all, how I pick people who work with me in the team, like photographers, videographers, editors, whoever. We are first friends. We are first matching in vibes, and then we working together. And it's been always like that. I chose
Yeah.
my husband like this. I chose my best friends we are friends like forever now. It's just a feeling. You just feel good around that people, and you was like, let me give it a try. And then I maybe ask them. I mean, I strategically becoming friends with videographers and photographers.
Right.
Maybe we can work together. But obviously, it's just beauty of life. And how we work, we basically a bunch of friends. We come to your wedding. We making sure you're comfortable around us. All these jokes, all this, I don't know, not being too much, obviously, because I know that we feeling great around each other, but it's sometimes 300 people, 1,000 people celebration, and you feel so overwhelmed as a bride or groom being surrounded by so much attention. So we obviously trying to, just to feel atmosphere and not being too much. Obviously, I'm very confident as well as all my team with like directing the couple, but at the same time I want to give some space and show their personalities through even like our direction. So we're not necessarily, if we feel like, with, you remember our couple Mama and Amit,
Yeah.
I probably been silent forever because they are so naturally active and like all these poses all the time. So I'm not really, I was like, yeah, I'll just press record and yeah, do your thing. And for people who are not that experienced or not having comfortable, I think talking and understanding what their priorities is helping a lot for the future results. And yeah, we do direct, but again, we're not doing like a fashion movie, or we're not doing million takes. And
Right.
also, I think it's experience. Every time I do take time for do maybe 3 4 takes of one shot, it's always the first one is the best, at least for my shots. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, whatever, destiny. I'll just leave it for
Yeah.
for editor to
100%.
decide. Yeah.
100%. You're so right. I'm so glad that you even like referenced like fashion or a movie, because a lot of times I feel like couples maybe have this like underlying fear of like, oh, well, I'm not really good at photography, or I don't know how to pose. And I'm like, it's your wedding day. So you don't have to be models today. You don't need to take on like feeling like you need to have like this serious look face that you kind of like, like that serious. But I'm totally with you. And I feel like capturing those candid moments is really what it's all about. And so being able to like work with a couple and make them feel at ease is the biggest thing, because then they can even just have a conversation to themselves, and groom can make bride laugh, and they're just kind of hanging out. And I think that's what I try to emphasize with photo video, because aside from hair and makeup, because usually I don't ask you to come in the room at 3 a.m., aside from hair and makeup, the second
Yeah,
fender
thank
I'll
God.
say to kind of like, yeah, to touch point with them is their photo video team. And so if you have a photo video team that's coming in and they're just sort of hanging out, for lack of a better way of putting it, those to me are what sets the photo video teams apart, as opposed to somebody coming in, I got to get the shot, I got to get the shot. Okay, pose here, pose here. And I think it just doesn't feel, as organic. It's a little bit more hustled. And I know that you have obviously a pretty big team, so which is amazing. You've got a really great quality crew. How do you sort of like
Thank you.
control your uniqueness and the quality of your product, given that you have such a big team and given that you obviously can do events all over the world now, because you have a very unique style. And I think that just translates why you've specifically for our clientele in the South Asian market, I feel like they attend so many functions on their own. So they definitely know quality when they see it. How do you sort of maintain that, just having such a big crew now and growing to where you are?
I think helped a lot. Uh, so don't get me wrong, not being a perfectionist. Uh, when you start from being yourself, doing everything, one man show, and then starting slowly to outsource little by little. First, we work with my husband Alex. He at the beginning, I mean, he's a character. Like he himself, like very complete person, very deep personality, and same for his art. He's also videographer. So just a little background. Like we usually split, either me or him leading the whole wedding, for this exact reason. Because when we started to learn things together, work together as a first and second camera, it's been so hard because he has opinion, I has opinion, and like we've been always fighting for the shot. Like this is perfect. No, this is perfect. And I was like, wait a minute. We should split. Like literally, we need to do our own things because he got all the knowledges and he can direct things and magic started happening. This was the hardest step to to kind of let him lead because it's also love hate relationships at work with your
Right.
loved one. So yeah, I think this is got me into thinking, okay, I can't do everything myself, especially for multi-day. When I got obviously burnout at some point with like
Right.
so many hours, so many days, we
Yeah.
also doing this same day edits. I was like, yeah, I probably have to, start thinking to have people who I trust. And yeah, it's little by little. It's a process. Obviously, I'm like this puzzle, and you're trying to keep everything, but it keep falling apart. And you was like, yeah, I'll save it. This hand from the ground.
Yep.
But basically, it's haven't been that bad, to be honest, if I'll
Right.
summarize all the experience, because editing helps a lot.
Yeah.
So this is what makes our videos magical,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
at some point, because obviously there are some shots. They should be very, very quality, yeah, high. And we do a lot of documentary shots. We shoot a lot of things in between, which very seamless. And when you sit at a table and edit this video, this is when you start to, puzzle all the things. And it's funny because we also, my next huge step was to find a perfect same day editor, like for my level of quality, same best as like I would do. And
Right.
like very original flow to like coming from that situation was when last year we had a Love Stories TV competition, and I sent a bunch of videos, maybe 10 or 12, and only two videos went to a short list, or maybe won something. I not quite remember. It was only the videos that edited by my editor, not me.
Oh,
And I was like,
wow.
wait a minute,
Isn't
it's
that wild?
yeah, it's like my teamwork. Yeah, it's like coming to the next level. So all these social improvements, or reactions, obviously, of the family and couple, or their friends who reacting on like the teamwork, started to grow and like giving me the believing that I probably doing something good. So I think I'm trying to not over control everybody I work with, because I'm an artist and I hire only artists to work with me. So I understand that they need also some space to create, some flow. So yeah, I think I'm trying to not control too much, but
Yeah.
also I'm controlling all the editing. That's why the final version, obviously, under what we deliver. And same for the photography, because there are so many talented people who can shoot, but the editing is just not there. So,
Right.
and like
Right.
choosing the right poses, the right,
Right.
sections. So yeah, we do control a lot the editing, and I do check all the movies, all the videos I produce or post, and same for
Right.
photos. So
Right.
yeah,
And I mean, I could speak from firsthand. I mean, for
not
couples or
easy.
our listeners out there that don't know, like a same date edit is essentially like a sort of a condensed version of a multi-day occasion that sort of really highlights some of the emotions and some of the great celebrations that took place. And I remember the first time I saw one of your same day edits, we was in Coral Gables. And it's so funny because, and this isn't any disservice, we've worked with some amazing photo video teams, but I remember that was our first time working together. And my client, this was a Florida based wedding. So we had flown you in from California, and I was doing the production that night, and I saw the same day edit. And I remember turning to Whitney and saying, who's this photographer again? Who's this videographer again? We need to work with them again. Like that was amazing. I think I was even tearing up, and we do like, a little over 20 weddings a year, which we kind of scale that. But ultimately, I just remember it being such an incredible presentation. And I do think you take a lot of pride in what you do. And ultimately, I think that that's a big part of the experience is not just having a photo video team, but having someone that understands when you
Yeah.
do get that final edit that you captured, when the couple's circling the fire or when they're going and giving blessings to their elders, like those are things that you pick up on and you just do such a great job of, I think, capturing that. So I
Thank
love
you.
what you do.
You made my
100%.
day.
100%.
Thank you.
I'd love to
Absolutely.
hear. Oh, no, go
Also,
ahead.
yeah, sorry, just to add a little, because obviously we shooting whatever happening, but it's 100% the success of the videos that been like in magazines or photos or videos or in like winning all the awards. It's always a teamwork with
Yeah.
giving us enough time to create the things and also to do all the like to bring all these crazy ideas to life, so it's not just us, never.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, I so appreciate that. One of the things I was going to ask you too, because I know a lot of couples, when they come to our office and we're talking photo video, a lot of times I feel that there's this sort of stigma over hiring the same company to do photo video. And then there's separate conversations surrounding, well, if I hire someone that does photo video, is just one product going to be significantly better than the other? Or, is it going to be both equal partners? Obviously, you have events in which you have to like separate out your services, or if you may work with a couple that maybe they already have a photographer and you're coming in for video. How do you, like, obviously you're a team player. How do you sort of work to, again, like keep that quality control and when you're working with, more teams outside of just yourself?
I don't see any problem. It's again depends on the personality. Sometimes photographers are very, very flexible in terms of video. They maybe like more on the documentary side. They don't do too much of staged shots. So it's the easiest way, to be honest, because we all like dancing together throughout 40 hours of shooting.
Right.
But sometimes photographers do take a lot of time for a lot of takes, and I feel like couple a little bit too exhausted by the time when we need to do some video shots. So I think it's always just to try to balance and try to keep the flow going, because I had an interesting experience. We've been just the videographers at that wedding, American, one day here in California in Terranea Resort. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but it's like huge property. And this bride specifically told me, I don't need any stage shots, like at all. And it's like a huge thing for our company. But again, I've been in so many weddings, probably like maybe more than 600 already. I didn't even count it. So I was like, okay, it's great just to listen to a couple first and to try to work around it. Basically, I consider this as a next challenge for me. I was like, okay, let's try how Balerina will achieve the goal of great video without any posing. And we literally haven't had any shots for video dedicated for like me to direct. And it's one of my favorite videos because the wedding itself was so condensed with all the emotions, all the characters, all their guests are so dressed. And I don't know, it's just amazing day. One of my favorite videos from the last year. So I think
That's
we can do
amazing.
everything
I don't think
at
I would
this
ever
point. So
imagine going into an
yeah.
event because you know how we are with our timelines. Like we've got this for portraits, we've got this, and I love that idea. I mean, obviously you have to have a lot of trust in your video team to say, okay, I don't want anything staged. Like I trust you to, at the end of the day, give me a product that I'm going to be happy with. So that's crazy to hear that that was like one of your favorite videos. I love that. That's super cool.
Yeah,
That's super
it's very
cool.
cool.
One of the things I also wanted to share with some of our couples out there was, so obviously we've had the chance to work together. And I remember one of the things pertaining to just like going back to quality control and like the same day edit presentation and things like that, which I feel like I have to bring up, Arina. But we had an event together
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we worked in
sure.
Coral Gables. And I think this is important because, again, this whole podcast is about sharing insight and information to couples and things like that. So to give some background, one of the things that we always do with obviously our lovely videographers is we go in our production run throughs before the guests obviously enter the room and we test our lovely same day edit. And let me say, like, it was surprising when you just said that you were like, earlier in your career, how you were like taking classes and you were still learning the language. But like, we had someone that spoke Spanish and didn't speak any English, and the
Oh yeah.
projector wasn't sort of working correctly. And you were like diving in. You were like, okay, well, if we need to YouTube how to use this projector, we're gonna figure this out. And I just love that. I think that was part of my sort of just love for what you did, was that you took what your job so seriously that you wanted that couple to have the best presentation on that video screen. And I feel like maybe you would have been the only person that would notice if it wasn't like stretched correctly or like the pixels weren't correct. And I just was so impressed by that. And I think that's really important because I have an episode previously where we kind of talk about the importance of hiring a vendor team that cares about what they do. They care about what they put out. It's not just another couple and another video and just going to the next job. I think when you have a couple that's dedicated to giving you quality every time and cares so much about like what your essentially your guests are going to see that day, that to me makes a big difference because essentially at the end of the day, anyone, like, we don't have a lot of education in our hospitality industry, right? It's all like we're figuring out as we go. But when you have a professional that actually does care and is invested in that experience, I think that's just another takeaway for a couple, is to really make sure that you resonate and vibe with that vendor, because it is going to show up on day of. Because we deal with stuff all the time where like shit hits the fan when we're on site for weddings, and you have to be quick to be able to respond and figure it out. And so I just really appreciate it, because I feel like I pretty much lost a year of my life during that time because I was like so worried that we weren't going to get it. But it worked out. It worked out.
So yeah, I totally agree with you. That's been so painful, and honestly saying, we have this kind of challenges every other wedding, and some of them are like crazy, some of them are not. But I think maybe my superpower that I'm looking into things as a whole, and I also can see what, like, get the connections. Like this leads to this leads to that, and same for the video. Like when I've been learning maybe on the go how to tell the stories, how to like dig deeper on the documentary side. And I've been actually very much interested in documentary back when I was came to, like, before I came to US, like 6 7 years ago. I've been actually thinking I'll become a documentary storyteller in like mountains and stuff. But I might get back to this. But anyway, so same in life, like some of the little things are lead to like either disaster or like the great success. And after each wedding, which like affected me too much, I always can spend maybe hours of thinking which exactly brought me emotions and what can help me to maybe remove some things and get things better for some of the people. I'm not
No,
sure
I
if you
totally, I
understand. Like
totally
it's a
get it.
lot of
No, when
words,
you're on
but
site for an event, you're working, you're exhausted. I mean, I'm just being honest with any couple that's out there. I mean,
yeah,
when you're hiring a vendor team and it's a multi-day event, I mean, you're working essentially 17-hour days. And, I can't even speak to you guys when
yeah.
you do same day edits. You probably work longer than that. But it's a lot. And there's a lot of, understanding like, okay, what felt really good and what did we really do well? And what could we have done a little bit better? And we run into that with every single event that we do too. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not a robot, you're human. And you're also on top of that, I feel that photo video we're more timeline managers, so we don't have to be super creative when it comes to that. We're just like, let's go, stick to the schedule, let's keep it moving. But I feel like you're having to be creative while also trying to be mindful and respectful of time. So it's a hard balancing act. It's difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And like knowing the fact that, yeah, you've been working so long, connecting all the dots, struggling to get this perfect shot, fighting for the timeline or like extra minute. And then you like finishing this video because honestly, doing same day edits is the most stressful thing in the whole videography aspect. So like you think of like the whole thing of, okay, it needs to be shown like how you see things. And obviously when you run into the problem with like bad screens or like people are having these faces or like that, it was like, no, it's not a
Right.
movie, we're movie
Right.
makers. And yeah, we have to figure that out
Right.
together. We all in the same
Right.
boat. Fun thing about the same. I've been traveling to DC recently, and I had a goal. I had an event, but I also connected to visiting few museums, which are like in the center. And I just had an extra 3 days to just
Yeah.
enjoy
Yeah.
art.
Why not?
And I went to this uh, one of like the main museums. I didn't remember the name, but I read it description. So I love art, and not the classic. I more in a modern type of aspect, but at that day specifically, for some reason, I got into feeling too much probably. So I started to read the descriptions, and this one particular painting was like the very classical, like ocean, boats, sun, ghosts, and like somebody like running, very little people, but just more nature. And like it's huge, like a wall size. And it has this red curtains on the sides, a little bit in front. And I was like, interesting. Like usually paintings are on the
Yeah.
walls everywhere. And I started to read the description, and it's it's so amazing that like in old ages, it's like very old painting. That people wanted to be creative, and when he like this artist, when he finished that painting, he had an event of like very rich people of that city. I'm a bad
No,
storyteller
good.
with words. So they were all there, and so basically they had a room with this painting, and every time two or three people came closer, they opened the curtain, people see, enjoy the painting, and they close the curtain, and then they go somewhere else. And I was like, wow, that's a great
I love that.
like way to bring your, yeah, to show your art. And I was like our work, it's all about like the showing of the final thing. It's the same important how like the process
Right.
is connected. So the success of the full result is just um, depends on every single aspect, including
Right.
showing. So I'm trying to spend some time to talk before, but it's not always the
Yeah, no,
case.
I love
So
that. And I think it's so important because essentially, when you're on site for an event, everything's kind of hyper moving and you're trying to make sure that you're capturing that art.
oh
And
yeah.
I think one of the things that comes up for us a lot, and I worked many years ago with an incredible photographer, and they were the first ones, I swear to God, I never even thought about this, but they were the first ones that always said, make sure you have your sunrise and your sunsets in your timeline, because for photo video that's such a critical component of how you're going to like be able to properly capture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what insight or guidance or support would you maybe give to couples when they're planning their timelines, and everything runs on the timeline? So what would you say from a photo video perspective that would be maybe worth consideration, when it comes to like shooting and in amongst around the sun? Because like, our clients, they're up at 3 a.m., they're getting hair and makeup. We're bringing you guys usually in around, like, let's call it 5 a.m. And, sometimes it's dark outside. So it's like, what? I don't know. Like, I
Yeah.
recently have told some couples, well, why don't you just shoot the outfits and the jewelry and the accessories the day prior, and then maybe we can focus more on portrait based work? Like, I don't know, any insight or guidance that you have for that, because I think that's a big question that always comes up.
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I agree. That's something that you want to plan ahead for sure. First of all, I think my favorite is to shoot like portraits and couple shots at the beginning of everything that happens, because sometimes the timelines are so tight, and we moving photo video session till the later time of the day, and I feel like for the most part people just want to have
Right.
fun, they just want to hang out
Right.
with their friends, and ended up you don't want to go out without any content. So it's, I think, the most smartest decision just to do all the job
Right.
before, including us in the couple, just to do some, fresh makeup, fresh looks. I agree with the lighting situation. It's definitely important. But again, we've been shooting in so many type
Right.
of weather, and my favorite actually is the rain, because everybody else are stressful for no reason, and
You're not
you're getting
rain doesn't
emotions.
stress you
So
out. Rain stresses us out. Here in Florida, we have to have
I love
contingency
rain.
plans, and that's so funny you say that because I hate rain at events. It freaks me out.
Yeah, yeah, I know rain is a huge pain side of the weddings, but how you control the
Yeah,
rain, you
right.
cannot. So you just, it's a blessing. In Russia, if you got the rain at the wedding, it's meaning you're gonna be living a happy life. I had the rain
Listen,
for
they
my
say
wedding,
that
so
I
I'm
love
happy.
that. They say that in India too. And I remember we had an
Oh, okay.
event that literally we were in the so there's not a cloud in the sky. This is Florida weather, by the way. And it's not a cloud in the sky.
Uh-huh.
Radar 0%. We're checking that thing like crazy. We're in the middle of the barat and like out of nowhere, as the groom is being welcoming, it's like it just starts raining. And we're like, are you serious right now? So we're like moving like 250 people indoors, but the whole crowd like loved it. And I was like, "What? You guys loved it?" It wasn't like everyone got soaked, you know what I mean? But it was like a cute sprinkle, so I wasn't like too
Uh-huh.
much freaking out. But the families loved
Yeah.
it because you're right. I mean, they just went with the flow and it's blessings, right? And that's part of it too with photo video
Yeah.
because if you're able to just be present and enjoy, it's going to show in your photo video. But if you're uptight and you're so
Yeah.
concerned that you're not posed right and do we have enough time? Did we get it all? So I love that you front end portraits because you're so right. Like at the end of the day, you want to just hang out with your friends and family, and be present with them and allow the
Yeah.
photo video teams to capture what they do best, which is, capturing emotion and capturing art. Like back to what you're saying when you even were moved by that painting, I mean, ultimately that's what you're trying to create is moments that you just remember and like resonate and stay with you. And doing that in a very high
Yeah.
stress crazy hour environment. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. I sometimes thinking how we can take that much stress. Like, I mean, we're living life.
Right.
We're women. By the end
Right.
of the day, we have
Right.
emotions. Like, I have no idea how you guys managing being a planner full time. It's for me. I don't know anything harder than this. I just responsible for just one aspect of the wedding. You're responsible for everything. So I have no idea. But yeah, when also you have all this stress during the day, you probably just already like, okay, this is
Yeah.
normal. And this
Yeah.
level of tension, pretty
Right.
normal for me, like for this
Right.
Saturday. So you're not feeling
Right.
anything,
I feel like
basically,
I feel like it's
especially
just
when
one
it's
of those
raining.
things that you almost like get acclimated to a certain level of stress that it's almost just normal for you. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like after doing
Yeah.
South Asian weddings for like a decade, I kind of just sort of it's almost just like a normal level of stress. But I will say also having a good team, right? Tagging people in, hey, like I need 30 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
can you shoot this? Or even for myself, I'll be like, hey, I need 30 minutes. Like, I need you to oversee this part of the event. I mean, that's really just what it's about is relying on your good team, which you guys have an incredible team. I feel like, we recently got the
Yeah.
opportunity I came to your state in California and I was like, so excited to
Yeah.
obviously work with your crew again. And, I had worked with someone from your team that I never had the opportunity to work with before. And she was incredible. She had the total same sort of just like lax vibe that you bring to events. And it was like there wasn't a beat missed in terms of being able to capture portraits and just be present at the event and capture some really great moments for the family. So, I mean, that's really just what it's all about. And I think anyone in the hospitality industry, I know I'm kind of focusing more on couples, but any aspiring hospitality professional or photo video team, that's getting in the market, I think that's the one thing that, I mean, as a planner, the piece of advice I would offer is definitely just like, if you don't love what you do or you don't love weddings, because weddings aren't for everyone, then like find your niche that works, because not everybody can do 3 days of 17-hour days and still love what they do. Not
No,
everyone can do that.
no, it's not. When I just started, when I heard first about Indian weddings, some people told me, Indian weddings? No way! I will never shoot Indian wedding ever in my life. And then after this phrase, always crazy story from their life, and I'm hearing this as again normal day. But yeah, Indian weddings are not for every videographer on the planet. That's for sure. They have definitely lots of color, lots of um, everything. I don't know. I can't describe. It's just next level for me. But at the same time, it's so hard. It's the hardest
Yeah.
wedding. We recently talked with my team members. They've been to American weddings. They also have their own
Sure.
businesses. Obviously, I'm not
Sure.
holding them
Sure.
here and took all the passports. So yeah, they obviously go in their own ways. And recently we spoke to our photographer, who Angelica, he's a big part of our team. She was like, "Yeah, I've been to this one-day wedding, American Jewish, and I literally had the feeling that I'm doing nothing all day. I'm like not working, and I'm not giving enough for them." But it's literally like from scale of
Right.
Indian weddings, it's happening maybe 10% of
Right.
action. I was like, yeah, now
Right.
you see, now you can
Right.
compare. Like,
100%. And it's not for everyone.
it's
I
true.
mean,
But
honestly, like I love Indian weddings. I mean, obviously I wouldn't specialize in it if I didn't, because I kind of felt the same way when we call it white dress weddings. We won't call it white people weddings, white dress weddings. When I was doing those, very beginning of my career, I just almost felt like it wasn't challenging enough, and not like in a bad way. It was just,
yeah,
and I didn't get to connect with the couples as much either, and or their families, because I was kind of in and out in 8 hours. It's almost like it was over in such a quick amount of time.
yeah.
So I could totally resonate with probably like how they felt, with that.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, the previous question that you asked, it's actually very helpful if family having us for multi-day. Sometimes they're a little hesitant for smaller events, but it's 100%. I always telling the same thing that you just mentioned. The more hours you spend with the couple, the better connection you have, the more everybody comfortable around you. And usually, I mean, in print price, it's not a big difference if you will have us for Mandy, Haldi, or like more home events before, or even like separated. But it helps too, like a
Yeah.
lot for the final results, because both families are get used to us, and we at the end of the last day we have inside jokes. They call us a part of the family,
Yeah.
things like that, because of that reason, because we spend like good amount of time together. And for videos and photos, you can tell because people are just comfortable
Right.
around you. We're not
Right.
strangers. Yeah, it's very
I think
important.
that's really so important that you bring that up, because one of the things that I always say, if couples' schedules allow it, is to go and meet with their photographers, even if it's for like a little mini pre-shoot. Quite frankly, even if it's for a glass of wine, I think it humanizes everyone a little bit, because at the end of the day, we're not robots, we're all humans, and we're here to help you create this really cool experience. And our industry is just wild. To me, it still baffles my mind that every time that we host these large events, we don't get multiple takes. Like there's one take to get it right. And when you hire the right team, I think that's just all the more like reassurances or insurance, if you will, that it's gonna flow really well. And
Yeah.
so I love that. I think it's really important that if you're also able, hire your photography, videography team for some of the pre-functions so they can kind of get to know the immediate family. Because I know we send out VIP guides that have like little pictures of like all the parents and things like that. But I think meeting with someone in person, connecting with them, and I think that's what you guys always have gone above and beyond to go out of your way to do. But and one thing I wanted to say is,
Yeah.
I'm from the South, so we end every episode by saying, you don't know what you don't know. So is there any guidance or advice that you would in particularly have to share with couples just when they're considering their photo video team or who they're going to hire?
Any advice? Oh, definitely to look into a full result they deliver. Full movie, full gallery, because so when I started 5 years ago, like in our style, why we started to be known quickly, because not many people been doing things in
Right.
this style, which like modern, like fast pace, or like documentary jokes and things like that, like unexpected things in the videos. Now what I see, that people start to picking this up, and I have so many people actually doing the same things
Right.
which we are doing. And we were talking recently with Alex. I was like, oh, it's like literally the same exact thing I've been doing in videos for like 5 years ago. And he was like, yeah, because people like repeating this, like hoping for success, which is great. This is how you learn. This is
Right.
whatever. But at the same time, I was like thinking to myself, I need to create something new and unique and usual. And he was like, yeah, they will repeat again. Yeah, it's true. But at the same time, they can like you can be tricked by like the shorter things in Instagram, because the shorter is better nowadays, unfortunately. Which
Right.
TikTok, right? All the reels and things like that. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you're not getting just 15 seconds of the results. You're getting the full thing. And the level your team is performing on a like higher scale, this is when you can really compare the company you hiring and like giving money and trusting
Right.
your time and like the space around you. Yeah, and I definitely would recommend talking to people you hire. As you mentioned, we all people, and you want to feel good around them. And for my opinion, just one call can answer a lot of questions
Right.
for you, how you like would trust these people or not.
Yeah.
So also lots of the times I have these calls when couples are like, I'm concerned about this, I'm concerned about that. What you can tell about this? I was like, this might just me my opinion, and it might be different from what you
Right.
like expecting for me to answer. And if and it was like, no, but how you can act in this like in this situation or that situation. And I was like, I can't promise if I will act or do certain things, because it's live,
Right.
it's an event. And we're not doing like scripted movie. We're not doing a cover photo necessarily going into like the big
Right.
magazines. You have to just, if you trust somebody, if you choose somebody for your wedding, you just have to trust these people. And by talking to them before signing the contract, before moving forward, you kind of just answer to yourself if you like to talk to these
Right.
people or not. And this is when you're making the decision, from my
Yeah, I,
opinion.
I love that. And I think that's such good advice because honestly, you're so right. I mean, unless we live in a day now where everything is just like quick information, quick content. And while I think that's fantastic for social media platforms and for businesses to get like quick information out there, viewing a full gallery and really seeing the full product, like for their, events that they've been involved with is so critical. And I think that almost is like, not that no one's being transparent, but I think that's a different level of transparency. Like, hey, I stand behind what I offer so much that I want you to see all of the images that I took, or that are in my gallery for that particular couple. So I love that. I think that's a really good, solid piece of advice. And always about the connections and the vibe and the love,
Yeah,
because we're
thank
such
you.
a small community. I mean, we're a big community, but we're a small community
I
too, you know?
know.
I think it's just part of it.
It's crazy. Community is
Yeah.
so small. When I was living in Russia, I thought like my city was 1 million people, but here, obviously, like a whole country, and we travel all the time from one side of the country
Right.
to another. I haven't been flying that much
Yeah.
back there, and yeah, it's so interesting because you are working every time with the same exact people because they probably doing a
Yeah.
good job. That's why we kind of like package deal from one wedding to another.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's a very small community. I agree.
Yeah, and I always tell clients like you're not necessarily obligated to work from my preferred vendor list, but I can at least stand behind the quality of the work of these individuals because I have the experience
Yeah,
of working with them and I also know their quality of product, but also just their level of care, that they take and like the level of pride that they have in what they offer. So,
yeah,
I'm so appreciative to you for joining me today and like picking your brain and offering insight to couples. I think it's really something that I
yeah.
hope is really supportive for our listeners, and I so appreciate your time.
I appreciate you for having me. I know I'm one of the first
Yes,
guests.
you are. It will be released in fun
It's
order.
just
So
the
you're one of
beginning.
my earlier guests that I've
That's
interviewed.
so
So I'm like,
cool.
zero expectations on this journey, but ultimately I just hope that more
Yeah,
professionals can connect on a different way and also that couples can just gain some insight on making informed decisions because I think that's what it's really about.
I think it's very, very important and great journey. I wish you all the success on doing podcasts and not quitting because educating the industry and the couples as same as important as doing this on a daily basis because yeah, as you mentioned, there is like not much
Right.
information out there still, even though they are in a different formats, they are in more shorter formats. So I think this is very yeah condensed and amazing like way to just to bring the
Yes,
truth out there
100%.
what you need to
100%.
do. Do not feel too much
Awesome. Yeah,
stress.
100%. And yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, you're getting married. No one's dying. Everyone's having a good time. Just pick the right people, vibe well with them, and I think it'll all go smooth. So, thank you so much again, Arina. I so appreciate your
Absolutely.
time. Awesome.
Thank you so much, Brittany. It's amazing. Yeah,
Cool.
love it. Thank
Happy
you so
Thursday.
much. Good luck with everything.
Thanks, girl.
You
See you
too.
later. Bye.